I understand about health as well, about the connection, about optimizing our nervous systems, about diets, and we talked about various other remedies. At the moment of conception, we start our bodies. We have two half cells, and we start to replicate. Do we know what the first thing that our body, as we start to develop, do we know what the first thing that starts to be created is? You can shout out, or you can not answer, and I'll answer for you. So the first thing that is created is our nervous system. Excellent. We have cells developing, and our nervous system is the first thing that starts to be created. And as it grows, it starts to branch off, and it starts to create the rest of our bodies. So within hours of conception, our nervous systems are starting to be created. It's the most sophisticated piece of equipment that we have in our bodies. How long does, at what point, what's the last thing, oh sorry, how am I going to ask this? Our nervous systems are the last things to finish being developed as well. Can anybody give me a rough age as to when our nervous systems are completely as they would be when we're an adult? At what age does that happen? You've answered. Any other? No?
The youngest would be in the teens.
Youngest in teens?
The youngest.
The youngest? Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. It continues. So most often, most people, our nervous systems are completed at around 21, 22, 23 years old. So this is, in humans, our nervous system takes a very, very long time from the start, from the very beginning until completion. And our nervous systems are also responsible not only for creating and building our bodies, but also for healing our bodies, for maintaining health. And there are all sorts of things that can interrupt with expressing optimal health, with expressing how our nervous systems display themselves. So we have our nervous systems are housed in the strongest bones in our body, our skull and our vertebra. These are the strongest bones in our body, and at each level of each vertebra, we have nerves that exit and they go to control our bodies. So most people that come to see me with pain, and pain is about 8 to 12% of our nervous system. So when we have a nervous system that's not functioning at its best, pain can be expressed, but it's only representative of a very small percentage of our nervous system. So we have another, what's the maths? 88 to 92% of our nervous system is also likely to be under-functioning, is likely to be not our brains and our bodies need to be communicating together all the time in order to express health at the best. And so when that doesn't happen, pain is usually the last thing that appears, but all sorts of other dysfunctions can pop up along the way. I'm going to just put this here for a second. Excuse me. So I have some props here. This is a representative of the organs that are controlled by our nervous system. Obviously, our nervous system controls everything. So if you have a lack of quality of control of this system, it's a little bit like, if you look through a normal pane of glass and you can see through to the other side, a nice clean pane of glass. This is our brains talking to our bodies really nicely and efficiently. And what we find over time, when things aren't working at their best, is slowly, you start to get a reduction in this communication. So it's like looking through a frosted pane of glass. You can see that there's something on the other side, but you can't see it quite as clearly as you should be able to. And so my job as a chiropractor is to change the way those this system is talking to our bodies.
And use the chair here to hold it.
Thank you. Normally I invite questions as we're going along, and everybody's so far away from me today, it's a bit tricky to do that. But if anybody has questions, shout at me. This is a healthy vertebra, and you can see, I'll pass it round, you can have a look. So we have a nice disc here, a nice juicy disc, and we have some these yellow bits here at the back of the nerves. And normally as you twist and turn and move, everything should move nice and comfortably. And what we find when over years of, it could be a poor diet, it could be poor physical health, mental health, emotional health, we find that slowly we start to get these joints that stiffen up and lock up and stop, and the long-term effects of that ultimately become pain and dysfunction. Treating these things as early as possible is hugely beneficial to our long-term health as well. We know that when these joints are locked up, when they're not working at their best, we have degenerative changes happening. So the normal movement of our spine helps to keep these discs nice and juicy. And when things lock up, the process of it's called imbibition. It's a little bit like a sponge in water. When you squash and let it go, it stays nice and full of water. But if you squash it and hold it there for some time, we're going to have less water in there. And so when these discs, when the joints aren't working very well over time, you start to lose the disc height. So here's a nice example of somebody, let's say they may have had a car crash 20 years ago. 20 years ago they were here, 20 years later you start to see this drying up of the discs, you start to see this excess bone formation, and what you'll see when I pass them around is the difference between a nice big juicy nerve here and a slightly floppier, less healthy nerve here. So I always advise to people, if they have a lack of health or if they have pain, these things are really important to get addressed as soon as possible, because the long-term effects of this degeneration makes it harder and harder to reverse, to undo. I'll throw these over here and you can pass them around.